Blitzers, Nerf Clan, welcome back to the channel. Reviewing the WZ-112 today, and specifically answering the question to myself, should I buy this tank? I'm going to do a pretty thorough review here. First of all, starting with the win rate for the WZ-112. Doesn't have a lot of players, but the win rate is very high, near 60%, but below the 252. Here is the Blitz Stars comparison. And in particular, I have every one of these tanks except for the 112, and I wanted to compare it to the 252U in particular. And that's because I'm about 70-something% win rate with the 252. I use it for a lot of tourneys. So you look at the DPM, pen alpha, rate of fire, reload, caliber, velocity here, and they're very similar. The DPM is a little higher than the 252s. I don't think this is significant, but it is higher. That's important to note. The things that I do note is pen is essentially the same. The alpha on the 252 is a little bit higher, which is an advantage for AP, not for HE. The difference is the cannon. It has the same cannon as the Glacial and in some of the others. We see the aim time's lower, dispersion's a slightly bit better or less terrible. Depression is about the same. So it's got a better cannon and then the 252U with higher DPM. Those are advantages. Its speed is higher, but it's got a lower power to weight. So that doesn't really help. And it's in fact, it's the slowest of these IS3 modifications, and with effective hold power to weight just 13.4. So speed-wise, that's a little bit of a negative. I don't really care about credit coefficient, and we'll get into armor momentarily. Overall, you can see it weighs about the same, and the armor is obviously very good on this tank. Win rate, as I said, it's the second highest of the 252U, but better than the IS6s, the IC, the 6, IS3, IS5, and the Glacial. So it does have that going for it, which is an indicator that even with a lot of players, this tank can definitely win some games. Looking at Blitz Hanger and taking a look at some of the parameters. First of all, I think I'd use a rammer with this. It's got plenty of pen. I think I'll show that in a second, but 215 base and I think 270 with heat. I prefer APCR over heat. That's my preference, but nonetheless, this thing does shoot heat. When you switch to heat, you see the DPM goes down to 1708, but your pen is 270, which is damn good. And the HE is actually one of my favorite things about the IS line, 61 pen 500 alpha. That is quite good. The velocity overall here is not bad for HE, but it's 1170, it's the same. 1170 is fine, it's nothing special, but I would supercharge it for that reason. As we mentioned, the aim time 2.84, dispersion 0.355. Those are kind of middle of the pack with tier 8 heavies. I mentioned mobility. It does say again, they say the speed is number 2, number 1 there, but I think that's a little misleading because of the power to rate ratio. So the armor is a key thing for this tank. And you look at this and when you see a lot of orange and red, it's good, real good. Specifically, the upper plate is, even when you're looking straight at it, about 260. And when it's gone down with a little bit of gun depression, you've got it to near 300, which means you're not going to get penned in tier 8 with in the upper plate. The lower plate's lower, but if you angle this thing, you angle it right, you're not going to get penned much. 2+100 in the lower plate, and it is a big lower plate, but still, and then 300 plus 400 on the sides and the front when it's angled. This thing can really, angled right, could really do some serious bouncage, and you're going to see that in the replay, particularly by Wheeler, who needs bounces since he's a crazy lunatic sometimes. When he plays, but a hell of a player. The side and rear armor are fine. You're not going to get HE'd, obviously, with this tank. So first battle is Canal with Wheeler sporting his 112. I don't know if that roll cage thing he's got on the back of it comes with it. I think Arthur has it in his game as well. But Wheeler goes to a very dangerous place in Canal, place I don't like to go to unless I have something that is incredibly armored like the 112 or the 252U. And even then, this is just a very, very dangerous spot. It's a great spot to spot, hold, etc. And Wheeler's team is, doing what people do in Blitz these days. They're hanging out in spawn, checking things out, thinking about, life and other things. But Wheeler's already got one shot in, one block, and you can see just from observing, and you're going to see the benefits of this cannon and then just the limitations of it. It's still a Russian heavy cannon, and Wheeler aims that shot for a good 10 seconds, and then it just goes wide, especially when you have to hit a target like the HTC's, relatively small hitbox there, because the HTC has great armor. That's what happens when you have inaccurate cannons like the IS line, IS3 lines in general. When you have to hit a strip and you just better hope for RNG. Now that's what Wheeler should do more often. Actually, is switch to heat and just pound it through there like he did. He probably could have done that a few more times, but right now the game's looking pretty good. They've got a hit point advantage. Wheeler does take a hit there, but he keeps bouncing shots. He lands another heat shot into the HTC. They have B capped. But then now it's tied 6-on-6. They're actually down by points, but it's a pretty close game. It's certainly far from out of hand. And you notice the Wheeler's actually shooting another Celestial, or 112 Celestial, which is the obviously the premium camo, I guess, or the whatever camo for this game. Wheeler pops that with maybe a max roll there with heat with 418. That's one heck of a roll. And it's still 6-on-6. Wheeler's got 3,000 damage blocked already, which went quickly. I mean, you don't realize how much this tank just blocks. There's another 340 block of the Celestial. He really is trying to clear this, and this was a very telling shot. That was like the shot of the match in a weird way, because Wheeler aimed it in nearly all the way again and shot heat, which would have gone in almost anywhere, and it just flies up. So that's one of the things. By the way, if you notice, I did change my reticule thanks to update 7.2 from the annoying A that they used to have to the much more, crosshair, which seems to me like that would be much more realistic than an A to have a crosshair in there. And I like it. I find it to be a little bit less disruptive. So I've been enjoying that. Thank you, Wargaming, for finally allowing us to change that. So Wheeler pushes over closer to B. He's got a KV-4 pushing him, which he bounces first shot. KV-4 is a great tank to face with this because of how low you are. You can hit its lower plate, and it shouldn't do too much to you. However, it takes a big hit from the other KV, from the KV-3 of 465, and you can see he is starting to bleed. He's down to 412 hit points, but he's blocked 3,940 damage. But don't worry, Wheeler is far from done here. He gets another 400 alpha bounce from the KV-3, and then he's going after the KV-4. KV-4 buff has made it an even more annoying tank than before. I really wish. There are two buffs that I hate in this game very much. The one is the Tiger 2. The other is the KV-4, because there's just a lot of terrible players that were now given, 1,850 hit points and a massive amount of armor to drive their KV-4s around and do not a whole lot with it. It's just elongates games and makes them more annoying. It does give you more hit points. So anyway, Wheeler gets some help there. KV-4 is gone. He's at 3,184 damage. He's blocked nearly 5K. And he's moved about 25 meters. So he's basically playing it safe, playing that position. He's also getting a lot of spots and a lot of damage assist. He's trying to clear the other 112, which just speaks to the armor of that tank. The 112 on their team also there. And there goes another Russian shot, Russian heavy shot, not Russian shot. Russian meds have amazing cannons, but Russian heavies not so much. And Wheeler is trying to decide what to do here. So this is classic Wheeler, and I actually watched this game very closely because we had two replays of Wheeler's in our stream the other night. Both were horrendous losses, and certainly not his fault, but his team's fault. But so I am very concerned. So Wheeler's telling them, as he should be, is we have 848 points and 574 to the opposing team. It's a 3-on-1. Why are we pushing? Let's just win this one, right? Let's just win it. But a dead IS convinces him to charge. So Wheeler does what Wheeler does, and he charges the Celestial, their player, shanks a shot. Again, not the world's best cannon. It's a better cannon. It's not a good cannon. He charges this 112, 412 hit points. I bet Wheeler said, hey, it's 412. I can probably take a shot. And he backs up there. Wheeler, you did a nice job, but you just weren't angled quite enough, I guess. But the Ferdinand takes out their 112, and for the win, 3,100 damage done. It's an MC2, tons of block. Again, XP doesn't take into account your block damage. Wheeler had a heck of a game. Hector, idiot, be quiet in the IS, probably got Wheeler killed there. But again, that shows you some of what this tank can do. It can block shots all day long, and you can put it in tough positions, and it'll just absorb damage, and there's no doubt in my mind that Wheeler won that match for his team. Next battle is Artillery Arthur, clan lead in Black Goldville. Arthur opted for, looks like, the carbon camo, and he's also got the roll cage, so I'm guessing it comes with it, but who knows if Arthur paid for that attachment. Not like Arthur to pay for attachments, so I don't know. I think he only pays for stuff for his Tog. Anyway, so Arthur does the unconventional way of going to town in this map, and that is pays off for him here. I actually have been doing this occasionally. I do it when my teammates go this way and I don't want to feel like fighting them, and it does work if you've got the better heavies. And he's facing an IS-8 here, which is actually a fantastic medium in my opinion, not a heavy. Heavy medium or medium heavy, whatever you want to call it. But he gets a shot into him, and he is using that ridge as a means to jump over, but then come back and cover his lower plate. A very smart move, although he takes a shot there. I can't tell who shot him. 240 Alpha, probably a medium from somewhere. And there is the IS-8. He targets him. Look at the very unlucky shot there. Again, the dispersion on this is still not great. And he's got a K91 and a Tiger 2 against him. You can see the enemy team is kind of split just like this team is. So we got a double split team here. But he's got a good teammate here who's capping C, and he's going to try to get a shot into this K91. So far, Arthur has shot like 4 shots and hit 1. But Arthur got himself into a fantastic position. That little brim, ridge, whatever hill there is exactly what is needed to be able to protect your side, and nobody's going to penetrate that turret. No, there's no tier 9. Maybe like an OBJ-704 or something like that could with heat. I even doubt it. But Arthur is, look at the Arthur's getting brave here, and Arthur is also a famous YOLOer. But he says, you know what? I trust the armor of this tank. I'm going to jump over a hill and expose myself to 3 tanks. He gets 3 shots, only 1 pens, and the enemy is royally confused. So there he goes, and he's moving back and forth. This tank looking at it did have some relatively good the dispersion loss when moving. Arthur is taking full advantage of wiggling around and not having the dispersion go too much crazier than it already is. He is really trying to get this K91. K91s are really annoying tanks to kill, except for when I'm in mine, because it dies all the time. So somebody must have the trick. But you see there's a lot of places to shoot, but again, it's this disadvantage with the Russian heavies. When you have to shoot a strip, not always easy. And now he's going to go face down the King Tiger. This is obviously the Tiger is a tricky tank for anyone to face. The good thing is, with 270 heat pen, you should be able to pretty easily penetrate the front plate of the Tiger 2 now. Arthur is wiggling around like a belly dancer, switches it to heat, and shoots him in the side to finish him off. That was a very well played. He also got into that position where he would have been blocked. So he's now got 1,210 damage block, 2161 completed. It's 3-on-3. Arthur is in another heavy, a TD versus 2 lights in a TD on the opposite team, which is a little tricky because this tank is not one I would love to brawl with lights with. The turret rotation is about 26. That ain't great, and the reality of that is you don't want to be COD'd. So Arthur, nonetheless, they're capping B, and he's going forward to push to see what he can do, and he spots the Hori T, which is a tank with great pen. Not my favorite to attack, but Arthur's got 1,200 plus hit points. The Hori's 374, so he's a one-shot. And as we know, Arthur is a very, very aggressive player. He takes out the T49 with a 1 shot there. The Hori comes on the right, bounces 500 alpha shot, but he does take a small hit from the FV301. R3 doesn't care about that. He's going to go ahead and clear that 301, takes 1 more hit, still has 840 hit points. He knows the Hori can't really do much to him with that many hit points as long as he doesn't miss 3 shots. Arthur gets to the side of the Hori. Now, this is where the speed of the 112 is good enough to get around the Hori, sticks him with a shot on the side, finishes it with 4 kills, 2670 damage. Well played, Arthur. That aggression paid off, made a lot of money too, 50,000 credits. That was an MC1. So overall there, you guys seen the things of this. Will I buy the 112? Yeah, probably. I have a lot of tanks, but I haven't yet. I'll think about it some more. What about you? Will you buy it? Let me know. Subscribe to the channel. Thanks, everyone.